welcome to another Team Clueless Battle Report. Today we are playing in the Zone Mortalis. It's myself with Red Salamanders versus Andy over there, who has brought the Deathguard. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the table. This is the Zone Mortalis. It's made up of the old Forge World tiles. We are playing a mission today called Bug Hunt. So we are hunting this, the Xenomorph. So one of our mission objectives is to hunt and kill him. I'll get to them in a minute. He has blip tokens which you use. So during the game we will put down blip tokens. There are 5 there with a 1 written on. That's just a fake reading we're getting on our scanners. If we turn over the one that has the 3 on though, that is the Xenomorph. So let's go over here and have a look at his stat sheet. So I'll hold this nice and steady so you can see what he's like. He's pretty tough. He's got 10 movement, he's got 12 wounds, 4 attacks, but he does D3 damage with 2 flat damage of them, and he's got a special attack that does D3. He has special rules. He's got acid for blood. Every time he takes a damage, there's a chance that a splash of acid will go out and deal mortal wounds to stuff nearby. He's hard to target with psychic powers because he has an alien mind. He's black as the night and twice as quick. All attacks against him suffer -1 to hit, and he can reroll failed charges and can't be overwatched. He's got a 4+ invulnerable save, and all damage suffered from him is halved, so he's really tough. So how do we get victory points of this mission? Let's go up to here. You get 1 for killing the enemy warlord. You get 1 for each computer console you control at the start of your turn. So we are setting up 1 side and 2 side. We haven't decided which yet. There is a computer console here. There is a computer console over here. And there is one inside this room down here. That doesn't look like it's central, but it actually is, because there's no way of getting to it other than walking through this central corridor, which is guarded by a sentry gun. The sentry gun will target the first unit that moves within its line of sight during every player turn. Okay, let's go back to victory points over here. You get 1 at the end of any game phase during which the Xenomorph suffers 1 or more wounds. So if you deal it a wound in any phase, you gain a victory point. You get 1 victory point and also a command point for killing the Xenomorph, and you get 2 for claiming a trophy. So once the Xenomorph has died, if the Xenomorph dies, you turn his model sideways on the table and leave it there, and then a unit, an infantry unit, can do an action at the end of its movement phase to claim a trophy from its body. So the action lasts until the start of your next turn. If that model's still available there and his action hasn't been cancelled, it can claim the trophy and 2 victory points from the Xenomorph's body. So they are the ways of getting victory points. What special rules do we have? So there aren't a huge number this mission, which, well, I say that. So every time you deal the monster a wound, at the end of the phase you roll a d6. On a 4+, it disappears into the shadows, and that's what the blip is for. So the chance of it disappearing is to make it so you can't just surround it and kill it straight away. When it disappears, each player then takes a random 3 blips and places them on the table, and you have to place them out of line of sight. So there should be loads of places we can place them, but if there isn't places, then you place them just off the board and then they can move on. At the end of every charge phase, each blip moves d6 inches towards the nearest model. As soon as it becomes visible, you flip over the blip. If it's a Xenomorph, you remove all the other blips and the Xenomorph becomes into play. The Xenomorph uses our hunted monster rules that you may have seen before. Basically, it moves towards the closest model each turn. If it takes any wounds, it will move towards the closest model that dealt it damage, and it will attempt to attack them. It's pretty deadly. Okay, a few other rules that you may not know about. We are playing in a Zone Mortalis. These are my own special Zone Mortalis rules. They are basically an up-to-date version of the old rules that Forge World did. So there are things like, there are rules to make it harder to deep strike in here. It's hard to fly around and move too fast in here. You have a chance of taking damage. There are doors. Doors are either open, closed, locked or destroyed. There are ways of destroying them and such, one of which is a 1-point stratagem to melt a bomb open a door. What else do we have? Shooting, flame weapons and explosive weapons are slightly better than normal. Overwatch is slightly better than normal. And in combat, what else is there? I think that is about it. Yeah, that is all of the special rules. Okay, let's get on and get deploying. This is my 1,000 points of Salamanders today, and I know you're going to ask, why are those Salamanders red? Well, they have painted their armour in memory of Sanguinius, because today in the Imperium it is Sanguinius Day, where all Space Marines paint their armour red in honour of the best of the Primarchs. So, this is my force. It is led by Vulcan Hestan. There you can see him in his beautifully red painted armour. But this guy is actually the Warlord, so I think Vulcan's come along and he's kind of like testing this guy to see how he's doing in his leadership capabilities. This is a chaplain in Terminator armour. I've spent a command point giving him the head reclusiarch bonus, so he can generate 3 litanies a turn. He's got the Warlord trait that gives him... Oh, I've forgotten his Warlord trait now. I'll have to come back to that. He's got the relic that gives him a 5+ feel no pain. Then I have a Judicia. He's one of my little Count's Primaris Marines. He's made from bits of the Judicia. Then we have a Tactical Marine. Unfortunately, they haven't got their extra wound baked in as yet, so they are old-style Tactical Marines with a Power Fist and 2 melter guns. We have some really old models down here. These are my Stern Guard, the old RTB-01 models. Back here we have my Counts as Eradicators. So they're the guys who can fire twice with their long-range melter guns. We have some Hammer and Shield plus some Lightning Claw Assault Terminators. And lastly, we have an Ironclad Dreadnought with double close combat weapon, double heavy flamer. That is the 1,000 points of Beastly Salamanders.
Here we go with the Deathguard. We have in the middle here, it's a Lord of Contagion. He is leading the chapter, which is the Sons of Mortarion. Over here is a Demon Prince. He's not got wings, they just look like wings on him.
I don't think they'd be able to lift him anyway. So.
No, this is a scratch built off of a bloat drone that I've done. In the back we have 3 Death Shroud Terminators. We have a Foul Blight Spawn, a Tallyman, and 5 Blight Lord Terminators, 4 with Combi Bolters and 1 with a Flail of Contagion. 2 units of 5 Plague Marines, both with Death Spitters, and 1 unit has an Icon Bearer. And that is 1,000 points worth of Deathguard.
So you join us after setup. We're both basically deployed on the line. I've got my Hammer Terminators and my Chaplain Warlord in the centre there. I've got my Eradicators, Tactical Squad, Champion Guy, the Judicar. I've got my Tacticals. These are my Stern Guard Vets. And Vulcan and the Dreadnought are over here. And he has deployed some Terminators and some Plague Marines along with, that's the Plagues... No, that's the Tallyman back there, isn't it?
Tallyman back there.
Then you've got your Warlord, and you've got a load of the big Terminators there. Yeah. And then over here we've got more Plague Marines, the Demon Prince, and where's the Sprayer guy?
He's back there.
No,
no, he's there.
Aha,
there he is.
He's hiding in there. And we have also deployed blips, so we take it in turns, and we'll capture this on camera later in the game. You can't deploy a blip in line of sight, and you can't be within 6 inches of another blip. So I place one down here. We've got a couple in here. We've both kind of like gone reasonably central. I've deployed this one behind myself. I'll go why in a sec. There's another one in the centre and another one in the centre here. When you're deploying the blips, it's quite tricky because you get victory points for hurting it, but it's also really dangerous. So I've played this one back here so I can stick my head back round this corner. If it is the alien, then I'll move my army back and shoot it a lot. If it's not the alien, well, then I've denied Andy a similar opportunity. Let's see how we go. We are at the end of Salamander Turn 1. Let's see what happened. So Mortalis is a bit different to a normal game where there's lots of shooting Turn 1. Because there's very little line of sight here, there's very little shooting. So I move forward with my Terminators here, move my Eradicators over and my Chaplain. My Stern Guard advanced to that corner. My Dreadnought moved here. He melted with his 2 heavy flamers in Devastator Doctrine, this door out of the way that was across this corridor. Vulcan moved there, just in case the Dreadnought dies so he's not in line of sight. And then, if you remember, my Judicar stuck his head back round this corner to see if there was a Xenomorph there, because we'd placed a blip there. There blooming well was a Xenomorph there. So, didn't have much more for it. So, the Judicar moved forward. The tactical squad that was in this corridor, they wound back round there. We all opened fire into the Xenomorph. Even with all my Salamander rerolls and stuff, did 0 wounds to it, which was a bit of a problem with my 2 melter guns and such. So then we charged into combat, a lot of flailing around, a load of punching with power fists and such. Actually, the bare fists of the tactical marines did most of the wounds. We have reduced the Xenomorph to 9 wounds. We actually reduced him to 8 wounds, but he's got a special punching more attack. You can see where we're getting inspiration here. And he killed a tactical marine with it. If you kill a model with the punching more attack, he gains a wound back. So he went back up to 9, and then we roll. Oh no, then it attacked with its other attacks and it massacred a load more tactical marines, so they're down to 2 models. I'll do leadership shortly. But then we rolled to see if the Xenomorph disappears, because it took a wound during the phase. On a 4+, it disappears. So Andy rolled, and it did disappear. So we're going to do on camera what happens when it disappears. So over here, Andy has randomised the blip tokens. As it's my player turn, I choose one, and I have to place it somewhere. Has to be on the board, not visible to any models, and more than 6 inches from a different blip token. So I am going to go over here. I gained my victory point for the turn, which is what I wanted. It cost me some tactical marines, which wasn't what I wanted. But not so bad, I'll take the victory point. Okay, Andy's blip token choice. He's going there. Yeah, can't be seen. He's obviously going to try and do what I just did. Uncover it and shoot it. I am going to try and entice us into the centre. In there. And he's hedging his bets there. I'm going to stick one down here. Yes, that may look closer than 6 inches, but if you remember, you have to measure around in the Zone Mortalis. So Andy's fine there. And is that all of them done?
That's all 6.
So that's how we place blips. Okay, over to Andy's turn.
So we placed the tokens, and my boys here shuffled forward. In fact, the whole army shuffled forward. Boys here discovered that the blip here was in fact
it was.
Monster. So my plague spitter here, open fire, did 1 wound.
Just what you wanted.
Just exactly what I wanted. The bolters in them did nothing, but he moved. He went and ran away because he's not that brave. Yeah. And he appeared over here.
Yeah, we redeployed blips, didn't we? But
we did.
It was then your charge phase, and you couldn't charge him.
No.
Because he's just a blip.
So
yeah.
The blip appeared there, moved towards the nearest enemy, which was my Terminators. Did Overwatch shooting on them as you come around the corner. Didn't do anything. Combat, the flail hammered him.
Yeah.
And the bubonic axes didn't really do an awful lot, but there was the flail did the main
damage. I think they
damage.
did a wound because he was on 9 and he's down to 6.
He killed one of my Terminators, and we've rolled to see if he runs off and hides. He's staying where he is, unfortunately.
Yep. With the Zone Mortalis rules, and with an NPC on the board, as it were, a non-player character, you can fire into close combat not involving any of your units, and it's kind of got a random hit mechanic. So I can shoot at that combat if I wish.
And that's the end of the turn.
But you did gain 2 victory points that turn, and you only lost 1 model, so I think that's a win-win for you.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens on my turn. So this is Salamander's turn 2. So what happened here? I really needed to push up because the Xenomorph hadn't moved away from Andy. I had to get something on it and get some wounds down. I didn't have that many things that could get there, so my tactical marines moved around here, took cover in this little alcove. Vulcan ran up and consolidated with the Stern Guard. We decided not to attack that wall because we didn't want the, what are these things called? Death Shroud running forward and murderizing me. So it was up to heroic brother. What are we going to call him? What's a salamander sounding name? Something Bernie. We'll call him Brother Magnuson. Ran forward, sounds a bit Space Wolfy. Ran forwards, he doused the Xenomorph in flame, engulfing both the Xenomorph and the Chaos Terminators that are there, but failed to hurt them. Although I think he did murder one of your Terminators with his flamers. So then he pounced into close combat. He used his seismic hammer, which is a damage 5 weapon. So even with the Xenomorph halving all damage, I managed to slam my fist home many times and brought it down in a spray of gore. Its blood splattered over me, dealing me a mortal wound, and did 1 mortal wound to a Terminator. The Terminators had already hit the Xenomorph because of the foul blight spawn back there. Both the Dreadnought and the Xenomorph were striking last, but they failed to wound it, luckily, so Andy didn't gain a victory point. So I gained a victory point for dealing it damage and a victory point for slaying it. But I have slayed it in the middle of Andy's army, and there's 2 victory points to be had for cutting off its head. So what else happened? Over here we moved forward with my Terminators. I fired with the Eradicators and managed to take out 2 of Andy's Plague Marines. Then the Terminators charged forward with the help of the Chaplain Aura that gives +2 to charges and engaged them in combat, and Thunderhammers slammed home and splatted Plague Marines. They're pretty good versus them. But now we have the Tentacle Beast to contend with. And that was the end of my turn. So the game now, there's no Xenomorph to kill. It's going to go on to capturing really objectives. So the computer consoles are the main way of gaining victory points and harvesting the body of the Xenomorph. So that's what we will likely be concentrating on now.
Okay, this turn my Demon Prince charged into the Terminators here.
Didn't he just?
I used the command point to play Soul Harvester, so his Bubonic Axe gained me an extra 3 attacks, and as you can see, 1 Terminator
He
survived.
did a right number, didn't he?
He danced up and down on their heads.
And I did nothing back with my Thunderhammer Sergeant. But at least I'm still there.
Yes, survived.
Which is better than can be said for this end of the table.
The Death Shrouds are moved up around the corner to the door. I used the command point to take it
to
out.
explosive charge it.
Which Papa Nurgle gave me back.
Yeah, he's very kind, isn't he?
With the,
some guy over there with an abacus is sitting there recording all this stuff.
He's loving what he's seeing. And the Death Shroud into the back of the Dreadnought. And
attacking in the back, a very traitorish thing to do, I like to think.
The way to do it, especially when you can take a Dreadnought out in 1 round of combat.
And you now have control of this body.
And now I control the body, and the Marines just shuffled round the corner. They were going to go in, but...
That's it. You couldn't do the action this turn because I had a model next to the body.
Yes.
But unless I can get some stuff up there and kill some of your stuff, you're going to do the action next turn.
I now have control of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay,
I'm quite pleased with that.
That's end of battle round 2. So let's do a quick scores and stuff. So we go down here to my little tracker. I can't read that very well on camera, but I have 3 VP, Andy has 2. I have 6 command points, Andy has 3. So I'm a bit ahead on there, but Andy is ahead on the board, I would say, because I've lost my Terminators, my Dreadnought, most of my tactical squad, and I've only really killed... What have I killed of yours? A Plague Marine squad and a couple of Terminators.
2 Termies.
Yeah, so let's see how we go. Still game alive. Okay, so it's Salamander's turn 3. What happened this turn? So Andy had all his stuff around here gathered around the body, and so I decided I had to take some of them out. He had his... I can never remember the name. The Death Shroud were there. So we moved forward with our Stern Guard veterans. Obviously, they've been in this kind of Space Hulk-like encounter many times before, so they moved up with tactical precision. They slapped a melter bomb on the door. I spent a command point to blow up the door, basically. And then I opened fire with the flamers from Vulcan and the 2 heavy flamers in the Stern Guard squad. I think I killed one of them. Yeah, which wasn't bad. Vulcan's flamecraft and me being in tactical doctrine was really helpful there. At the back here, we have the Judicar, who got a bit left behind when he went back to smite the Xenomorph early game. So he's still trying to catch up. Over here, we have 2 melter guns. They couldn't quite get in range, even with their advanced fire, both of them, but one of them took a pot shot down there and mowed down one of the Chaos Terminators. Always useful. Then I charged in here, and I spent a command point using Strength of the Primarch, and Vulcan smited both the remaining Death Shroud Terminators, so that was really good. Over here, Andy decided not to spend the command points to have all the extra attacks with his massive Tentacle Beast Demon Prince, but then he fluffed his rolls a bit and only did me 3 wounds. I spent a command point on my 1 failed save, and my Storm Shield saved the day, and then my Sergeant smacked him back and got 2 wounds through on the Demon Prince. These guys, they were attempting to run all the way over here because they've got assault melters and shoot the Demon Prince if I backed out of combat, but they rolled really badly on their advanced roll, so they decided to take out this door instead. They're now playing statues in front of the sentry gun because if I move while in line of sight of it, it will shoot me. So I'm just holding still until next turn, in which I will sprint towards it. My Warlord, my Chaplain, not doing the most heroic thing, but it might well win me the game if I can stay there long enough, has moved around here and has taken this computer console. If I'm still there at the start of my turn, I will gain a victory point. That was my turn 3.
Not an awful lot. I've shuffled the Plague Marines forward here, shot the unit, Killed one.
Did. I managed to survive.
Sergeant stood there smiling at me. Over here, the flower blight spawn used
That thing is mental.
It's a thing called Vomitrix, which is specific for this chapter of the Deathguard, and took out 5 of the...
Without even
Didn't even break
caring. It was
stride,
like, I'll just casually spray sideways
squirt these guys
and
with this.
just murderised 5 Sternguard.
Yes. That was all the shooting.
Yep. You're doing an action down here with, what's his name?
The Tallyman.
The Tallyman is doing the action to harvest that, which will give Andy 2 victory points, which isn't so clever from me.
And then over here, combat, I lost 2 wounds from the Terminator, but he's bitten the dust.
You did some evil tentacle Japanese thing to me, which wasn't very pleasant.
I tickled him.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see what I can do in response. I don't have many models left. Salamanders turn 4. It's pretty close. So what do they do? Let's do this end of the board first. So my Eradicators, who are down here with the sentry gun at the end, decided they needed to back out. So as soon as they moved, the sentry gun opened fire with a hail of damage, and they cut one of my Eradicators in half, which wasn't very good. But they managed to roll a 5 on their advance roll, so they sprinted round. One of them took over duties on the console. I'd gained a VP at the start of the turn because my chaplain was on that. And the other one managed to be in range to fire at the tentacle beast Demon Prince. Popped off a shot, had all my Salamander rerolls, didn't even wound it. So that wasn't good. My chaplain then used the litany of +2 to charge, sprang into action, managed to thump the Demon Prince. I think I did it 2 wounds.
Yep.
It's down to 3, but the Demon Prince flailed back. I was pretty lucky on my rolls there because Andy used the strat to have extra attacks again, but I'm down to 3 wounds there. So that was this side of the table. Then we move into the centre here. I have my brave tactical marine who managed to sneak around the corner, took a pot shot of his melter gun, but I think he was a bit worried about making himself noticed and failed to hit. But he is on that console. My Judicar did a big long sprint and charge all the way around the corner and engaged this squad. He took a little bit of damage on the way in. Luckily, his ability and the evil stench ability over there kind of cancel out. So I got to strike first and killed 3 of the plague marines, and I'm holding the other 2 there, so they can't get round me to get to the console. So that is my plan because I don't have many models left. You get a victory point for killing the warlord here. So I'd love to kill Andy's giant, great, what they call Lord of Contagion. I decided at the start of the turn I couldn't get to the Tallyman at the back, who's going to gain Andy 2 command points for that. So I charged in with Vulcan. I managed to deal him a couple of wounds. I spent 3 CP to fight again. I did no more wounds in my second attack phase. I've taken a wound back. Luckily, my invulnerable save was rocking, but I'm not sure what's going to happen next turn. So, when it gets to the start of Andy's turn, he gains his 2 for doing the action on the corpse of the Xenomorph. We're going to be 4 victory points each. I have no command points left. Andy has 3 left, and it's Andy's turn now.
My turn here. I moved the Blightlord Terminators round to combat Vulcan. Pulled these 2 out of combat. Moved the Flower Blight spawn and the Tallyman forward to shoot.
Yep, you had to get off this objective,
try and get him off the objective. The idea being to shoot him off and then kill the tactical marine.
Yep.
Shot at the boy here, horrendous amount of shots.
You used that special thing, but I've got the armour Indominus, so it's kind of like one relic fights another, which gives me a free up invulnerable save for 1 phase, which I chose here, and it was well worth it, wasn't it?
Very much so. So it's left him on 2 wounds, but that objective now is quite secure because I can't fight you in combat.
Yeah, I've just murdered. You've got no AP on any of your close combat weapons, and I've got the 2 up save from the armour Indominus, so really makes me will murder you.
Yeah.
And just so people can see, I've still got my OBSEC tactical marine back there. So
the one remaining.
Yep.
Over here, the flail and the combat the 2 Blightlords didn't do an awful lot, if I remember rightly.
No, they didn't, but the Lord did, didn't he?
The Lord of Contagion then showed them how to do it properly and killed
a
Primarch.
No, he's not a Primarch.
I'm going to claim that. I'm going to claim it.
He's got the same name as a Primarch.
He's good enough. Over here, you fought first, took the Demon Prince down to 1. I then played Harvester of Souls, which gives me D3 against you, and 3 additional, and then killed your Warlord.
When you play that, he just murders stuff. It gives him the amount of attacks to guarantee it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Killed your Warlord, which gives me 1.
So you're ahead 5-4 at the minute, but I do control...
I couldn't move you off those two.
2 there. So we're going to play out the last turn, and we'll come back shortly. Okay, we played the last 2 turns of turn 5 because they literally took seconds, and here we are. What had happened in the last 2 turns, just quickly? I popped around this corner, 4 melter gun shots into the Demon Prince. I got 3 wounds through, did 4 damage. But he's only on 1 wound, so I thought that would be fine. What happened, Andy?
I got disgusting resilience on 3 of them, re-rolled the 4th and saved that as well.
He is still alive. The tentacle beast has lived. Over here, I decided I really wanted to kill the Foul Blight Spawn because he is horrid. So I charged in with my Judicar and got melted in Overwatch. I'm a puddle of goo on the floor. I think I'm that little white smear down there now. So I've been evaporated. And then in Andy's turn, he killed my poor Tactical Marine.
Yep.
But the end of the game has come, and my heroic last stand with the Tactical Marine over here, last turn, gave me the last victory point which I needed, meaning I've won 6-5. But that was an awesome game.
Superb game.
Yeah. Really good. I think we both brought excellent Zone Mortalis forces.
I think so, yeah.
We were all close range, loads of kind of like close weapons, loads of flamers, things like that. Yeah, really good. The Xenomorph was fun. I really like him.
Yeah.
And just a proper brawl in here, character v character. Poor Vulcan dying to your dude.
Yeah.
The Demon Prince who I couldn't kill. I think if he'd have managed to kill that Terminator a turn earlier, it'd have been a different game. Because he'd have come round here, and that's where I got the VPs on this.
Yes.
Was my main VP gain.
Yeah, definitely. I would have probably stopped you there.
Yeah. And just one turn would have swung that. If he'd have killed them, he'd have got them down, and then he'd have got the victory point there.
Yeah. I think your boy blocking me there.
Yeah.
Stopped. So that
standing in the middle.
Yeah.
The old good old 32mm base.
Yeah. But yeah, for me the Foul Blight Spawn is just a must in a Deathguard army. It's
absolutely critical, I think.
Especially being able to give him that relic.
He's so deadly at range, but he's also so key at protecting you from charges.
You keep your groups together and... Yeah,
it really helps because Deathguard are really slow. They're not getting places and charging, so they're going to be receiving the charge a lot.
But with him stopping the charge,
and he is just so good. Fighting last is crippling. I mean, my guy with the Temporis, the Judicar, kind of helped counter it a couple of times because I had the same effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really good. Okay, well, thank you for the game, Andy, and thank you all at home for watching. We'll see you next time.